Welcome to Most Powerful Women, your
Thank
first
you.
one. So I'm going to start with I just said to Jessica backstage, I said, I'm going to start with a very general question. Answer it however you like.
Okay.
Jessica, what's your story?
What's my story? Very broad question indeed. I grew up in a conservative town. I wasn't exposed to much diversity when I was young. I knew that I felt different, but I didn't know what it was. It wasn't until high school that I learned what it was to be transgender and that there were options out there for me that I could transition. So shortly after high school, I took some time off to try and figure out what I needed to do to be happy in my life. I went to university. I began transitioning, which is not the easiest process, but completely worth it. And in 2015, I had gender affirmation surgery, and it was the best thing I could have ever done in my life. Shortly after that, I decided to follow my passion, which previously was hockey, and I played in a recreational league that summer, and then that winter, I decided to play as high level as I could, and I tried out for the Toronto Furies in the CWHL, and I made the reserve roster that year, and then the next 2 years, I've played on the full roster.
Wow, that was good. That was really good. Your life in a minute or so.
I tried.
That's very interesting. So when you joined the Furies, no one on the team knew that you were transgender, is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And was that stressful for you to be on this team with these best women hockey players in Canada and them not to know your truth?
At first, I didn't think it was stressful. I didn't realize until after I came out how much stress I had been living under. I knew that I had worked my butt off. I knew I deserved to be there with them. I knew I had the talent, the skill, and the work ethic to play with them. But after I came out, it was like a weight had been lifted. I had, one less thing to worry about, people finding out, and I could just be me. I didn't have to worry about what I said about my past, and it was really freeing.
So why and how did you decide to come out?
I decided to come out because there's a real need for visibility and representation in the LGBTQ plus community. I came out to my team. I first told my coaches, and then I had them call a team meeting before one of our practices. And I had a speech prepared for my team and with everything that I wanted to say, and I just told them all and left the room for them to digest the information that I had given them. And shortly after, they came out, gave me hugs, showed support. It was really the best reaction I could have wanted.
Wow. Did you not give your speech? You just said it, and you didn't give your speech?
I kind of had my notes in front of me and was kind of reading from it, so I gave my speech. I said everything that I felt that I needed to say in that moment.
Did some of them know or think that you might, or was this a surprise to everyone?
As far as I know, it was a surprise to everyone. There was one player on my team who was from the same hometown as me, so I think she may have known at some point, but I hadn't told anyone previously.
What did you worry about before you came out, about coming out? What was the worry?
The worry before coming out was that I would be rejected. I was worried how people would react. Not necessarily the public, but the people that were close to me, my hockey team, my family, my friends. I worried what they would think of me, if they would reject me, if they wouldn't support me, and if I would be able to continue to do the things that I loved.
Did anyone reject you?
No one close to me rejected me. The only hatred I received was from online trolls trying to bring me down, tell me that I didn't deserve to play with the people that I played with, and really disvaluing all the hard work I put into it.
Of course, people online. I mean, and how do you handle that? Do you respond to that? Do you go, do you Do you still tweet? How do you handle that horrible online traffic?
For the most part, I ignore it. There's the odd time where I'm feeling especially sassy where I'll respond to it, but for the most part, I ignore the negativity because a lot of these people, there's no getting through to them, and I'm not going to change their mind.
Yeah.
So I try and be the bigger person.
So you had a big disappointment recently, and tell this group what happened with the Canadian Women's Hockey League.
Well, I believe it was March, the Canadian Women's Hockey League folded, which was absolutely devastating because it had become essentially my whole life besides my full-time job and my fiance. I was at the gym 5 days a week, running 5 days a week, practice 3 days a week in Toronto, away all weekend for games, so it was essentially everything I did.
So why did it fold?
It folded because they said it wasn't economically viable for the long term, which I understand it might not have had the most successful business model and didn't grow as much as the skill of the players deserved for it to grow. So hopefully we're gonna build something better and set a sustainable future for young girls so they can dream about playing hockey professionally.
So we're going to open it up in a second. I'm going to ask you one question about this community. So Jessica drove in about an hour and a half from, where do you live? What's your town?
Kitchener?
Kitchener, from Kitchener, Ontario. And this morning she drove in, and I said, why did you decide to come? And she was interested in this community. She's very interested in helping on the diversity and inclusion and equality front. But very specifically, what can this community do to help bring equality to the transgender community, and maybe help with this new hockey players association that you're starting?
Well, this community has a lot of influence, and I think it's important as leaders to be able to use that influence to create positive change. We have the ability to create conversations in places that don't typically have those conversations. It's why I came out as a transgender athlete. I wanted to create a conversation in the sports community where they don't typically have a conversation about a transgender athlete, and kind of get the ball rolling on that.
And Procter & Gamble clearly is taking the lead on that. And what did you think of their commercial?
I thought it was a great commercial. It seemed very genuine to me, which was awesome to see, because positive representation is everything.
But everyone can do that. Everyone has marketing budgets here. So let's open it up. Does anybody have a question, comment? In the back right there, yes.
Hi, my name is Tanya Van Biesen. Jessica, first of all, thank you for being here. I think you have courage beyond what many of us can even understand. So this is a very personal question, but can you talk a little bit about before coming out and going kind of this whole period of exploration of who you were as a person? How did that affect you in the day-to-day world, like good or bad?
In the day-to-day world before coming out, when I was trying to figure out who I was, I suffered through a lot of depression, some really dark times, and a lot of self-hatred. It wasn't until I truly accepted who I was and learned how to be my authentic self that everything changed for me. I started to actually see a future for myself and a future that I wanted to live. So it was pretty negative before, and once I fully embraced who I was, everything kind of flipped upside down for the better.
How did your family handle this?
My family, I was terrified to tell them, but they have become some of my strongest supporters. My parents instilled upon me from a very young age to work hard, be positive, never give up, and I can achieve anything I set I can achieve anything I set my mind to. And because of my parents, it's really shaped who I am as a person today. It's come around again and again, and in who I am and in what I do, from working endlessly to be a professional athlete, from my full-time job, from speaking in front of an incredible room of people such as you all here. Everything I am and everything I do is because of my parents.
There's a great video, what is it, about 8 or 10 minutes long?
Yeah, it's about that, yeah.
Yeah, it's, if you look up Jessica Platt, like YouTube, you'll come to this video. Yeah. It's like a little short film. It's really great, and the director or the filmmakers interview your parents.
Yeah.
And I just found your dad so, he was so lovely about it.
He has a way with words.
He does. And what did he say to you when you, I can't remember what he said in the video. I mean, it was very moving. You'll have to watch it. You'll have to watch it. So what are the lessons from what you experienced? Are there life lessons that you take out of this?
That it's really important to have a strong support system. My friends, who obviously I chose, were very supportive of me. My family turned out to be incredibly supportive, which obviously I was going to be a little bit worried about at first. But most important, I've learned that I'm really lucky to be who I am. A lot of people might not consider me lucky because I endure hatred on almost a daily basis from strangers, people who don't know anything about me. But I honestly believe I'm lucky because I know who I am and I know what I stand for. I stand for equality. I stand for people who can't. I stand for people who don't feel like they can share their voice, and I hope that they find strength in mine.
And we live in a world now where we can choose, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And we can live our truth.
Yes.
Who else has a question? Anyone else? Yes, over here.
Hi, Pam Warren. Again, I share the thanks for sharing your story, Jessica. I guess, all of us come from or I would like to believe all of us come from a place of good intent. And do you have any words for those of us who are trying to create inclusive environments, just, things that we should just be thinking of, that maybe seems so obvious to you, but maybe not to us?
Right. Just be open and willing to learn new things. Be accepting and receptive if someone comes to you with sensitive information.
But bear in mind, these are leaders of some of the biggest companies in Canada, the United States, the world. These are women with, who oversee a lot of people, and whether they're in HR or marketing or running a company or running a division, they have a lot of ability to make major changes in diversity and inclusion. So, I don't know, should they be doing what Procter & Gamble is doing? Should they be, any?
Yeah, definitely. I know positive representation is important. It's something I keep coming back to, but my fiance and I at home, we get absolutely thrilled when we see, for example, a same-sex couple on TV, not just because we see someone that is like us. We see that a company is accepting. We see that, they're progressive. We see positivity. We see them willing to make a change. When
are you getting married?
Summer 2021, probably.
Fantastic. Yeah. Congratulations, Jessica. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.